Hello? 24. Take it back. We're not rolling. What's going on?
Somebody going to come in and give you the word cue to hit cue?
Teenagers now at the Vietnam Memorial in Washington will look for the name Rambo, and it's there because it's Arthur John Rambo.
We've got the piece, and it works, and that's fine. You ready?
They say there really is a Rambo. You say, yeah, there is, and a whole different story. You know, of all the thousands and thousands of people killed in Vietnam, and there's only one Rambo that was killed. His middle name was John.
Okay, camera 3, let's take that shot on camera 3, please, for the two-way.
Many of them, once addicted, go so far as to steal a patient's medication, leaving the nursing station every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes, every hour to shoot up.
One night, a doctor called in and ordered Demerol, and I thought, oh, God. And that's exactly what I did. I didn't think twice. As soon as it got there, I went in the bathroom, gave the patient a little, gave myself a lot. Then overdosed.
Black. 2, 1. Dissolve up. Mike, cue him.
She would hang out on doorsteps, and she would literally camp in people's homes, and for weeks on end, until they finally went, okay, take the picture. And she'd snap it, and that was it.
Oh, that's great. Hold on. This is Clint Eastwood. It's not too much to say about this, except that it's one of those woman photographs, you know?
It's prepared for a two-machine roll. Hector Camacho knows that boxing is a very, very dangerous sport. But he says, look, you know, I've got women, I've got cars, I've got a future with millions of dollars. Where else could I do it?
Yeah, I was born to fight. I had all my hopes in it. Can't complain. Hey, break my jaw. Bottom line is, after you break my jaw, I still got my $1 million.
You have to wait for me to get to speed. Give us the top. Give us anything. Give us something.
'Hi, welcome to West 57th. The movie Rambo was a box office sensation, so powerful that the title character has become part of our vocabulary. Rambo means a new American toughness, revenge for a war we didn't win. No one messes with Rambo. The film was produced as entertainment, but it's deeply disturbing to one family, a proud, private, patriotic family that knows how real war is, and that some soldiers never come home.
"5 years ago, in a film called First Blood, a stranger wandered into a fictional northwestern town, a Vietnam veteran who was bullied back into being a fighting machine.
You visiting somebody around here?
His name was John Rambo. When Rambo returned to the screen in a blaze of Technicolor vengeance, he caught the nation's imagination.
Rambo is the best combat vet I've ever seen. A pure fighting machine.
But Rambo's creators didn't know about Sergeant Arthur John Rambo, who died in a jungle clearing near the Cambodian border. Each year, after the Montana snow melts, his parents visit his grave almost every day.
The goodbye that he gave me was, he was standing there in the hallway, and I came out of the bathroom, and he just opened up his arms, and we stood there and held each other for a long time. Neither one of us said a word, and to me, that has always been our goodbye.
He was my big brother, and I hero worshipped him from the time I can remember. And so, to me, the Vietnam War was loss of Artie.
As a married couple, we wanted children.
Artie and Helen Rambo were college sweethearts. She was pregnant with their second daughter when he was killed. He was 24.
He wrote to me one time that he was sitting up on top of the howitzer on guard duty one night with the machine gun in his hands, wondering suddenly why he was there, why was he doing this? Because he wasn't a killer, he wasn't a soldier, he was an engineer.
4 days before Artie was killed, he sent this final message home.
Right now I'm just sitting in my little hooch here. It's quiet outside, we're not shooting, nobody's shooting right now. Speaking of that, you gotta see this moon, holy cow. Well, the tape's about over for me, so I better sign off. I love you with all my heart, Ellie. I can't wait to hold you, show you how much I love you, tell you.
The Army sent the Rambos the flag that was the shroud over their son's casket and medals for his valor. Artie's commanding officer sent a letter from the battlefield detailing how he died.
It was probably the hardest thing I ever had to do, was to sit down and write that letter. He was a good soldier. He was a good human being.
Art Rambo was the only soldier killed under Patrick Garman's command.
It was very hard for me to accept Artie's death. You never really forget.
But now, after 16 years, forgetting has become much harder.
I've had 3 crank calls on with kids pretending to be Rambo and imitating things from the movie. They were saying, hey, Rambo, I'm in Laos, I'm alive, come and get me. This is your brother John.
And this year, when we took our trip back east, every time we stopped and signed up at a trailer park, the first thing they'd see was our name and make some remark about, oh, is a tough guy out in the car. They didn't look at just people, they looked at us as Rambos.
They've got Rambo tricycles with gun turrets on the front of it and stuff for kids 3 to 8. They've got Rambo grenades and Rambo knives and Rambo planes and helicopters. And
here you are now with a kind of a Rambo legacy of
yeah, and where was
movies.
he? Where was he? You know, 16 years ago, he could have finished it in 2 hours, and all those guys would be home instead of in cemeteries and stuff. You know?
Nobody ever saw anything like that in the war, and why they ever made a story like that, I'll never know.
Did you see both of the movies?
I saw First Blood,
and
that took about all I could stand.
What's the harm in it as you see it?
Well, it's the young folks. This big bunch of muscles impresses them.
Any parent that lets their children go see something like that and does not remind them that it's entertainment, partner, he ain't never been there. And he'll never understand what it's really like. The guy in the Rambo movie, if he'd have behaved like that in my unit, he'd last about 10 minutes. You can't get shot 15 times or blown up 20 times and walk away from it. You just don't do it. It's not real. Something's wrong with our society if they want to glorify that type of action.
Dan Rambo was 17 when his big brother was killed.
With Rambo 3 and 4 coming out, there's a cartoon series. How do you feel about all this?
I'd like to meet Stallone.
Would you? What would you say to him?
I don't know. Just like to meet him, see why he's doing it, besides the obvious reasons. You know, maybe he doesn't even know about this family. Of all the thousands and thousands of people killed in Vietnam, and there's only one Rambo that was killed. And his middle name was John.
The names of almost 60,000 casualties are carved on the Vietnam Memorial, where finding the Rambo name is now a big attraction for teenagers. And the daughters Artie left behind say Rambo is the only version of Vietnam people their age have been taught.
And it's being forgotten, I think. I have been through almost 12 years of school now, and I haven't learned one thing about Vietnam. I know it was a war. Everything that I know about it, I've searched on myself. It was never brought up in government. In world history classes, it was ignored. It just didn't happen.
Now, how tired are you of of this ironic coincidence with your name suddenly becoming the symbol for tough, violent, aggressive behavior?
Very. Yeah, it gets old. The thing that really gets to me is seeing little kids imitate it, and high school kids who now want to join the Army and the Marines and stuff because we're going to go out there and we're going to kill people.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of scary to me.
Oh, it bothers me. It bothers me because, to me, the name is my family, and especially Artie. And that wasn't what he was. Artie was not a violent person. I think those movies appeal to the very basest instincts in people. The desire for revenge, for America to be standing tall, carrying a big stick and stalking the world, showing everybody that they can't laugh at us, they can't look down on us, that we are the biggest and the best.
There's absolutely nothing glamorous about war. I don't care whether you package it in tinsel, whether you make $1 million off of it, or what you do. It's very hard. It's very hard on individuals. It's even harder on their families.
Creamy, refreshing ice cream. Summer just wouldn't be summer without it.
Taste summer.
We wouldn't be surprised if next to the word value in the dictionary there was a picture of the new '87 Nissan Stanza. Sure, Stanza's a family car, but it's totally redesigned with luxury features, cruise control, stereo, power windows, all standard. 87 Stanza. Compare all Stanza comes with, and you'll be amazed at what it goes for. The name is Nissan, America's #1 selling import car.
People ask me, what is Ewing Oil? What are you people all about? We're about like anybody else, just a little bigger. I fought my own brother, my own mother for the future of this family, and that's what it's all about. People say, JR, with all that money, you still can't buy love, trust, and respect. And they're right. But you can try.
You know her work, her pictures. You probably don't know her name, but Clint Eastwood does, and Bruce Springsteen does. Almost every celebrated figure of our times knows an unassuming young woman with a camera named Annie Leibovitz. Tonight, Leibovitz is being honored for a photo she took last December to benefit AIDS research. And tonight we thought you might like to know her too.
This looks incredible. It looks great. Joan? Christy? Paulina? Andy, just turn a little bit more towards me. Here we go. Whoa! Okay, Julianne?
16 years ago, her boyfriend drove Annie Leibovitz to the offices of Rolling Stone. Your stuff is really good, he told her. Apply for a job. She did, and now at the age of 36, is considered by many to be the greatest portrait photographer of her generation. She shoots the most photographed people in the world, but it's how she shoots them that sets her apart. Annie is the one who merged Dolly Parton and Arnold Schwarzenegger into one body beautiful. She stuck Woody Allen in a ladies' room and Michael Douglas in bed with his family. Meryl Streep put on a mime's mask for Leibovitz. Whoopi Goldberg drenched herself in a milk bath.
You get incredible shots in everybody. I'm sure you've been asked the question a million times, but how do you get people to do what they do?
I think it's letting people be themselves. You know, I don't really think that I'm making people do things. I am thinking that we are people meeting to do something, to create a piece of work, and if it works out really well, we're going to collaborate. If they're photographed a lot, you know, it's nice to take the photograph a little farther. You know, it's nice if we both grow, you know. It's like I remember I sat down with Steve Martin, and he said to me, he just finished Pennies from Heaven, and he said, well, I feel like I'm growing and everything, but look at my last still shot. It looks like it's taken in 1965 or something like that. I don't know. It just looked like, you know, this. Right. He says, you know, and I said, well, what would you like to do? You know, he said, well, I'd like to be in that painting. And it was this Franz Klein hanging on the wall. I said, okay, I think we can do that. I mean, I'm working with some of the most creative people in the business. Why not do something different with a photograph?
Annie makes paintings. She's an artist, said Cyndi Lauper when they recently worked together on a photo session. Their first collaboration resulted in an album cover that won a Grammy for Best Album Design.
You know what it was? Remember that picture of John and Yoko on the cover of Rolling Stone? I saved that picture because I thought it was so beautiful. And I just loved her work, and I asked if, I didn't even know if she was going to do it, you know, because who the hell was I?
Just go ahead and play with it as if it's going back out again.
We just have a lot of fun together. You know, I don't really always think about myself having to look beautiful as much as it having to look aesthetically beautiful. You know, the picture got to last beyond me.
Bring both arms in closer to your head.
Nothing's too crazy, and she goes for stuff, and working with her is always a thrill. I think she's the best.
I think we've got it.
Does the fact that you're a name now get in the way of what it is you're trying to do?
I get very kind of like wary of people seeing my work, you know, before I work with them, because then they get nervous about I'm going to make them like stand in, you know, on top of something or do something crazy.
Right, lie down in mud.
Yeah, I know. It's like, so that way it works against me.
You were described by one person as a woman who gets people to undress.
I think it's like a way of like creating intimacy, you know, right away. It's like a way of shedding uniforms, and you're also talking about photographing people who really are, you know, sex symbols. Someone like, you know, Mick Jagger, you can't imagine him with his shirt on.
Annie's approach has been called kamikaze intimacy. She's been known to literally move into a subject's home to get the shot she wants. Sometimes the results can backfire. After John Belushi posed for Annie's version of the Blues Brothers, he saw red.
He wouldn't talk to me for 6 months, you know, after that. He was like hysterical about it. He was so mad. And I just thought if they were the Blues Brothers, they should be painted blue. And I always saw him as a kind of a depressed person. I never saw him as a very happy guy. So when we worked again, I sort of wanted to do like the sad clown. It was like Charlie Chaplin on the side of the road. It's really more finding a way to enhance what people are really about, I think. That's what interests me. I think you have to exaggerate in photography. You have to think like bigger than life, because eventually it gets onto a piece of paper and it's going to look real small.
But I actually love Ruth Westheimer really big.
Well, she's like the mad scientist, the mad analyst.
Like this one, amazing. But I like that other
straight on one.
These days, Vanity Fair is the magazine that Annie calls home. As an editor who relies on strong visual images, Tina Brown finds herself constantly surprised.
We can always put her next to Don Johnson, thinking about sex.
Yes, this is what Ruth Westheimer thinks about at night.
Magic, excitement, verve, truth. Those are the things you look for in a photograph for Vanity Fair. And it has to make a real statement on its own. It has to be dramatic, if you like. Annie Leibovitz's photos always have tremendous excitement about them. There is always, her eye is so perceptive. She seems to always see something different. And I always await with great pleasure, you know, any assignment that she's going to bring in, because I know it's going to be completely different from what I expected. I think Annie has a tremendous power that communicates to the young. I get an enormous amount of mail from the younger readers of Vanity Fair, people in their 20s and early 30s, who really feel that Annie is very much the eye of their generation, just as much as Tom Wolfe, for instance, was the voice of his generation. I think that Annie, 50 years from now, will be very much seen as the chronicler of this era. She has
a special look, a special eye, which relates to our times, and that obviously communicates because she has a following that is almost more like one would expect from a rock person. She is unique in that sense, that she has a tremendous appeal. I think she's a real star.
Leibovitz may not fill the stadiums, but she packs the lecture halls. This one held special significance. It was the San Francisco Art Institute, and she is its most famous graduate.
This is Clint Eastwood. It's not too much to say about this except that it's one of those woman's photographs, you know. One for our side. And the original idea was just to have him in his street clothes on the Western set. But one of the groups was walking by with some rope, and it was really one of those last-minute ideas, you know, that said, well, this is a good idea. And he seemed to like it, and actually, it's one of those rare occasions where, you know, they call the next day to say how much he enjoyed the shooting.
Seeing Annie's portraits one after another, a common theme emerges. No matter how famous the face or how contrived the pose, all of these people seem to enjoy having their picture taken.
Oh, wait. First try that thing where you weren't bouncing. Actually, stay right there. Okay.
One afternoon, Annie visited her sister Susan and her nieces, armed with her camera. There was nothing sexy about this shoot, but behind it lies the key to her success.
You know, you're not any better than the other guys, Anna. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do?
Mom, don't try to...
Okay.
You've referred to your work as sophisticated family snapshots. Is that essentially what you're trying to capture?
Yeah, I think that the portrait work really, the best of it for me is when, you know, when someone can just look at you like they're part of your family or something. Because I come from a family of 6 kids, and we always took pictures, and there's a quality that you have when you're photographing your brother or your sister, or your parents are photographing you, that you trust each other, and you're like, you can't do no wrong. If you treat people well and you're very direct and honest with them, I think that's what you get back. Oh, that's great, that's great, that's great. Yeah, that's good.
I love our modern advances. Remember those antiperspirants we used to use that went on wet, sticky? Then came Real, the advanced antiperspirant system. The top is soft. The antiperspirant is smooth, yet totally dry. Not a drop of water. You smooth it on. The perfect solution. The real solution that feels out of this world.
The future is real. The advanced antiperspirant system you smooth on. Real antiperspirant.
By Nanan. Your taste sounds like a baby McD. Cool, crisp tea. In perfect harmony. 'Cause you taste the hot, you taste the cold, the way it's supposed to be. It's a good time for the great taste. Your taste sounds like McDLT. The McDonald's.
Ooh, that's what my dry, sensitive skin used to sound like. Ooh. Then my doctor recommended soap-free Aveeno Bar. It's got natural colloidal oatmeal to soothe and protect. Now this is what my skin sounds like. Aveeno.
These kids are protected by the leading mosquito repellent. This one by Deep Woods Off. Hours later, only Deep Woods Off is still protecting. Deep Woods Off fights bites for hours.
Hi, I'm Carlo Rossi. 50 years of experience have taught me one thing. You can't make fine wines unless you begin with high-quality grapes. So a great deal of care goes into growing of these grapes for Carlo Rossi wines. That's why a Chablis has a light, crisp taste. Perfect with meals or at cocktail time. I like talking about Carlo Rossi Chablis, but I'd rather drink it.
Anyone who's ever been in the hospital knows the value of a good nurse. She cares about your aches and pains and gives the drugs that make them more bearable. But what happens when the nurse starts taking the patient's drugs? Experts estimate as many as 1 in every 5 nurses could develop a drug problem in the course of her career. That's 1 in 5. The figure's controversial. So is what to do about the nurse addict. Healers who become sicker than the patients they're supposed to treat.
I was using 300 milligrams each shot of Demerol. And in between that, I started using cocaine intravenously, pharmaceutical. And I used quite a lot of that, too. And the other nurse and one of the doctors, we all three would use it at work.
Cheering up on the job?
Yes.
And no one would tell on each other because everybody was in on it?
Yeah. You know, other people worked with us, and I look back now and I think, my God, my hands were black and blue, my arms were black and blue. And I think, when I look back now, I think, oh my God, couldn't somebody see?
Like most addicted nurses, Karen, who works in Tampa, Florida, was in the top half of her class and started stealing Demerol only a couple of years out of school.
The first time that I started using was, I was working in the emergency room. And they had this little 8-year-old that the paramedics brought in. And a lady had hit him, and it was really awful. I couldn't understand why I couldn't save him, me. You know, me, all by myself. When little ones die, their parents, they grab onto you and they hang on, and you're trying to be Nancy Nurse, just professional, and it was real hard, and it started to become harder and harder to remain professional and look together. And that was the first time I used.
How long did it take you to become addicted?
Not long. I think I was addicted with the first shot. There's no doubt about it. Because I don't lack common sense, for God's sake, but my God, I just went right downhill. I mean, it was just right downhill. And it was every day, and I'd volunteer to work extra shifts, and my whole life revolved around work, because that's where I got my drugs.
Nurses are surrounded by stress and an inexhaustible free supply of pure narcotics. Most hospitals look the other way when a nurse starts tapping the cabinet. But not in Tampa.
We need to remove her immediately from any practice. That's the first
There, Linda Crosby and Penny Offer are the Cagney and Lacey of addicted nurses. They run this country's first program to track them down and get them into treatment. It's called intervention.
You know, what is it you want to intervene immediately, obviously? Right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hi, can you come over right away? Well, we just finished going over the data, and it is just overwhelming.
Okay.
Overwhelming. We need to do an intervention now. Yes.
28.
Yes.
86.
The nurse is working now.
Once you've identified a nurse as an addict, how important is speed?
Once somebody's been identified, they must be removed as soon as possible. They must. You know, there are two populations that we're fighting for here, and one is that patient, and the other is the nurse herself. If we do not move rapidly, we have danger to the patient, and we have danger that we will lose the nurse, and I mean lose her by suicide or overdose.
I contemplated suicide for weeks, and finally went in and told my head nurse, I'm stealing drugs from the hospital. I can't work in this place anymore.
I just couldn't function. I was getting so heavy into my addiction, I would reach for things that weren't there. I would say things that made no sense at all. I would have blackouts.
Would you want some of the people you've pushed into treatment to be a nurse for one of your family members?
Do you mean prior to my intervening on them? Absolutely not. Absolutely not, in all honesty. The nurses we're seeing at the terminal phase of the disease, as sick as they could possibly be and still function. And that is a grave concern, you know, which is one of my motivations, to remove them as rapidly as possible from the workplace so that they can get help and that those patients are not endangered. That is a reality.
Donna and Cheryl and Karen are all in Crosby's program, which allows each to keep her license as long as she stays clean. The addiction rate among nurses is at least twice that of other professions. The nurses say the worst thing a hospital can do is to try to hide the problem. Pam Erb is vice president in charge of nursing at Tampa General. There may be hospitals who say, we don't need to have a program to intervene with drug-impaired nurses because we don't have any nurses that take drugs. What would you think of that?
I would say they have their head in the sand.
Why?
They may not that day, but you never know
who might walk in the door the next day, because we certainly know that these nurses go from agency to agency, and they are usually short-termers, because once their symptoms become recognized or disciplinary action gets is set into gear or they're terminated, then they move on to the next place.
How easy is the access for the average nurse to narcotics, to fairly heavy drugs?
RNs carry the keys to the narcotics. Not every RN on the floor. There's designated RNs who are responsible for the narcotics for that shift. There are safety checks and systems in place, including dual counts, change of shift counts. There are procedures in terms of documentation and procedures in terms of security. So I think our systems are in place, but we've been told, of course, that people know how to break systems.
I was giving them a drug that would cause sedation to make them sleep so they wouldn't feel any pain, and then I would take their medication.
So you would take a patient's morphine or Demerol and give them something just to knock them out?
Right.
How easy was it to do that?
Very, very easy. When you work in a hospital or you work in a busy unit, you develop a relationship with your coworkers, and you could waste, say, oh, I wasted 50 milligrams of Demerol. Okay, I'll sign it later, you know, and you don't have to waste it in front of them. And it's easy to, you know, inject the Demerol into an empty vial of something else and withdraw another sedative drug and give that to them. No one bothers to watch to see if you're giving the right thing.
Cheryl is still a nurse,
Right.
but she took a less pressured job that doesn't require that she administer drugs. Karen worked her way back to intensive care, but it was a long way back. She was addicted to Demerol long before the intervention program was formed. Was there ever a point at which you looked at yourself and said, what in the world am I doing?
Probably after I was arrested.
Arresting nurses is Illinois' answer to the problem. In February, they rounded up 16. Diverting the patient's drugs is a felony. Nurses who do that here are treated like criminals.
Here in Illinois, we're a lot more concerned with the patients than we are concerned about the nurses.
Glenn Crick is director of the Illinois Enforcement Program. What's the point of arresting them? Why arrest a nurse who's addicted?
If we arrest and convict 100 nurses in Illinois next year, that won't scratch the surface of drug addiction among nurses. But if we arrest 100 nurses and that encourages an additional 1,000 to get into a treatment program so that they don't see their name in the paper as having been arrested for drug addiction, then we've done something for the people of Illinois.
They arrest the nurse, take her to jail, okay, and book her, maybe hold her until she can raise bail, release her on her own recognizance. No one has addressed the disease. She then leaves there, goes and gets another job. She is working with the active disease, still diverting Demerol.
When someone says lock them up, is that going to make nurses who are addicted go away?
No. Doesn't make them go away. Doesn't make anybody go away. I happen not to be an advocate of things like that, but it doesn't help in any way. They treat you like dirt, which a lot of people feel that that's what you are when you do things like that, but, you know, it's a problem, and you have to help people with problems. You just can't ignore them. Things don't go away. Don't move.
Karen should know. Before the program for addicted nurses, she was arrested twice and overdosed more times than she can count. Without programs like Tampa's, she believes, she might not be a nurse any longer, but she would still be an addict. Do you feel secure working around the drugs now?
Yes.
Why?
I know that that little tiny glass vial can ruin my whole life again if I let it. And that's the key. I have to let it. And I don't want it anymore.
We wouldn't be surprised if next to the word value in the dictionary there was a picture of the new 87 Nissan Stanza. Sure, Stanza's a family car, but it's totally redesigned with luxury features, cruise control, stereo, power windows, all standard. 87 Stanza. Compare all Stanza comes with, and you'll be amazed at what it goes for. The name is Nissan, America's #1 selling import car.
Reach out for 5 Sun Country wine cooler flavors. Peach, cherry, orange, tropical, and original citrus.
Sun Country Cooler, refreshing blend of premium wine and real fruit juice.
Sun Country is the top.
Yeah.
Sinkable, unthinkable. The unthinkable taste of Cheerios. Not a lot of sugar to weigh down those Cheerios. The unthinkable taste of Cheerios.
We'll be right back with more of West 57 in a moment.
This Tuesday night, the action heats up with the boys of summer.
I bet you forgot the bug spray.
I did not.
Bet you did.
Simon and Simon are off to camp and end up busting a case. Then,
I don't have time for these dumb games.
Magnum means business.
I took this case of my own free will. I could have said no.
Even when his business puts him right in line for trouble. And a marked woman.
There's nothing we can do.
Please, I'm desperate.
With only one place to turn.
That girl was under my protection.
Her last chance, The Equalizer, Tuesday.
This is CBS.
Hey, Vern. It's rich, it's creamy, it's Purity's premium ice cream in 8 delicious flavors. Don't forget, Vern, this is Purity's premium ice cream, and these, Vern, are surely, truly happy tears. Know what I mean?
Entertainment Tonight, weeknights at 10:30 on Channel 5.
From Channel 5, this is an Eyewitness News update.
Good evening. The FBI has finally captured the man who's been on their 10 most wanted list longer than anyone in history. Charles Lee Heron is accused in the murder of 2 Nashville policemen. A twin-engine plane and a helicopter, both carrying sightseers, collided over the Grand Canyon today. 25 are believed dead. If you drink, don't drive, especially tonight. Metro Police have set up roadblocks.
Super dealer freezes prices in 90-degree weather. Bob Presley sells you a new Ford at last year's price on 6.9 APR. The price freezes at Super Dealer.
Join us at 10.
Hector Camacho may be boxing's greatest showman since Muhammad Ali, and certainly one of its best fighters. A few days ago in Madison Square Garden, he again successfully defended his lightweight title. His share of the purse was said to be about $1 million. So it's no wonder he likes the fight game just the way it is. But some view boxing as nothing more than legalized brutality, a sport like others that leaves many of its performers damaged for life. Those involved in boxing, from managers to TV networks to fighters themselves, resist any changes. Why? Well, just ask the Macho Man, Hector Macho Camacho.
Why, I've been all around the world. I met ambassadors, presidents. I'm important. I'm important because of boxing. A little cockroach that was crawling around the ghetto is important.
Maybe not important, but certainly rich and famous. With a new recording contract and an eye on an acting career, he's been seen everywhere from Ring magazine to Playgirl. Just 4 years ago, he was on parole, doing time for auto theft, and fighting for $800 a pop, mostly in New York. He's since gone from a borrowed bicycle to a Corvette, 2 Maserati, and a Lamborghini. Flash and personality have become his trademark, so much so that you almost forget that first and foremost, he's a boxer. A great boxer. The lightweight division is the best in boxing, and in 29 professional fights, Camacho has never lost. He's the current WBC lightweight champion, 135 pounds of speed and technique that belies the fact he's just 24 years old. He's typical of the young and successful in this game. He can't imagine ever losing or ever being hurt.
It could happen, but it ain't gonna happen. You gotta put that in your head. It ain't gonna happen. It's a poor man's sport. Man, I came from the street. My mother was on welfare. I had all my hopes in it. All my hopes from head to toe. I got my mother's house. I support my son. I got cars forever. Nice training camp, good people, well-known, well-loved. Can't complain. Hey, break my jaw. Bottom line is, after you break my jaw, I still got my $1 million.
It's worth the risk.
It's worth the risk, every bit of it.
Every young athlete in his prime, especially a good one like Hector, believes he's invincible.
Arnold DePasquale served as an advisor to the New York State Athletic Commission during Camacho's early career. He's a reformer who's testified before Congress on boxing safety. He doesn't begrudge Camacho his money, but believes boxing has to change.
There are many other people out there with permanent damage they're going to start noticing in a few years because they had an image of themselves as invincible and they got into a dangerous arena.
Hector says, you take the macho out of fighting, you're going to ruin the sport.
Machismo has nothing to do with safety, with modern standards, with professionalism. Has nothing to do with that. If his image of himself is macho and the public wants to buy that, more power to him. It's America. Promote yourself as a person any way you want, but don't take foolish chances.
The chances a boxer takes aren't always apparent to the casual fan. This bout that brought Camacho into national prominence, his first televised network fight, is one that illustrates the safety risks. Camacho's opponent, Louis Loy, had secretly been in the hospital the night before, suffering from a kidney problem. Yet he passed the cursory physical exam. By the 6th round, he was tired and nearly defenseless. His face and eyes looked like hamburgers. 3 people could have stopped the fight. The referee, who had no medical training, the doctor, who didn't examine him very closely, or his corner man, again, no medical training. Despite the risk of serious injury, the fight went on. And this was in New York, a state with the highest safety standards in the country.
A referee walks over, part-time, he has a decent everyday American job, and he looks at the guy's eyes for 8 seconds and he decides the guy can go back out and fight. If my wife had an accident in a car and some doctor looked at her for 8 seconds and said she's fine, he's got a serious problem.
In your view, what's needed to make sure that the Loy-Camacho fight problem doesn't exist?
The people in the corner, as qualified as they are, they've got to be certified. They have to prove that they have medical experience, in a medical environment, that is, with seminars and from professionals.
And right now, most of the country doesn't have that.
We don't have that. It's not mandatory anywhere.
Reformers have called for other safety measures as well. Among them, padded headgear, as is worn in sparring matches, to help prevent brain damage. Shorter rounds and fewer rounds in a fight to lessen the number of blows to the head. Thumbless boxing gloves to prevent gouges, which result in serious eye damage. But there is mounting medical evidence that headgear doesn't really protect the head. It actually causes the blow to land more solidly, increasing the danger.
It doesn't make any sense, even if you wear headgear.
Knock people out with headgear?
I heard a lot of people with headgear. I heard of a crack 'em, boy, and they'd be heavier guys than me.
Shorter rounds could help the boxer take fewer punches on match day, but fighters routinely spar about 200 rounds before every fight, many times with a much heavier opponent. Boxers like Muhammad Ali may have suffered more brain damage in sparring than they ever did in an actual match. Do you ever worry about in your career that you'll get to a point where the accumulation of punches is going to hurt you?
No, because it didn't happen to Joe Louis, it didn't happen to Willie Pep, it didn't happen to Duran, it didn't happen to all the other guys. Ali was the unfortunate one. You know, I don't complain. You get other boxers said they won't complain. Maybe the broke ones that never got to make no money gonna complain. Well, I definitely ain't gonna complain.
One innovation that would increase safety is redesigning the boxing glove, which hasn't changed in 60 years. DePasquale worked on the development of thumbless gloves to prevent eye damage. New York made them mandatory for non-title bouts, and there hasn't been an eye injury since. But Camacho refused to wear them. Why wouldn't you wear those?
Well, me, I'm against it because, see, I was born to fight. I used to do this before for nothing. I mean, we've done it without gloves. That when they try to protect boxing, all they're doing is killing it.
Oh, really? They said the same thing about putting gloves on a fighter in the first place. 60 years ago when they started putting gloves on fighters, they said, it's going to kill the sport. Did it? When they started putting face guards on football helmets, did it kill the sport? When they started demanding that race drivers adhere to certain standards with helmets and all, did it kill the sport? Yeah. That's baloney.
Okay, let's clean up baseball. Okay, well, how? Let's take out the home runs.
What's the home run in boxing?
The home run is the knockout. A knockout. Boom, boom, home run. And where else can you go? You out.
You can put them on with big pillowed arms, you know what I mean? You can put big headgears on. If you want a guy to go in there as a mattress, you know what I mean?
Don King, one of boxing's major promoters, has the rights to Hector Camacho's next 4 fights. What you seem to be saying, that if you change boxing, people aren't going to come watch this sport.
They're not. You know what it's going to be? It's going to be very difficult for you to get them to pay. They may come and watch it for free, but you're not going to get them to pay no $500 and $300 and $250 for a ticket.
131.5 for that kind of money, fight fans expect well-matched boxers in top physical shape. But reliable information about a fighter's health and record is almost non-existent. In this case, Camacho is fighting a Filipino named Johnny Sato. How many times has he fought? How many times has he been knocked out? A local commission has to take his word for it.
41 fights, 7 losses, and then 2 draws.
32 wins?
Yeah, like that.
A fighter can get knocked out in Houston on Monday, get knocked out on Thursday in Atlanta, and then get knocked out in Washington, D.C. on Saturday. He fought 3 fights in 1 week. He got $1,000 a fight. He's happy. 2 weeks later, he's dead.
But Camacho never thinks about that. As he walked toward Madison Square Garden last Friday evening, he was thinking about the money, big money that comes from television rights and big gates. But this was to be his last moment of uninterrupted glory. In the 5th round of his title defense against Edwin Rosario, he was, for the first time in his career, cut badly and nearly knocked out. He just hung on to win a split decision. If we're sitting here 10 years from now,
Which we will.
and you have a broken jaw, or you have a brain that's hurt, or you have a detached retina, will you say to me 10 years from now, it was worth it?
Believe me, I will. Why? Because I'll have my money well invested. I'll be acting, maybe a sex symbol, you know, a male stripper. I'll be doing something else besides boxing. But yes, I'll tell you right now, at this point, it's worth it.
Milk got the kick that gives you more. Health kick. More nutrition in every pore. Health kick. I got the kick and milk is it. Break out the yummy vitamins that you won't quit. Kick. So get on a health kick, let it pour. America's favorite health kick. Yeah. Get on a health kick, milk's got more. Have more milk, 'cause milk's got more.
On March 17th, a tornado destroyed the Camerlanders' home. By June 23rd, it was completely rebuilt, thanks to Allstate.
Leave it to the good hands, people.
And I guess that really proves you're in good hands with Allstate. A member of the Sears Financial Network.
Coldwell Banker is America's largest full-service real estate company. And these days, you don't get bigger unless you do it better. Coldwell Banker, the home sellers, a member of the Sears Financial Network.
This is an expose on the new Ford Escort EXP. Expressive. Expansive. Experience a new form of 2-seat excitement. Ford Escort EXP.
Get 6.9% financing at your participating Ford dealer now.
You're taking breakfast by the hand all over the land. It's a fresh new way to start your day. Get your boogie in along and on your way. Hey, McDonald's is take it to the highway, take it to the street with a sit-down breakfast when there's no time to eat.
Enjoy a fresh biscuit sandwich or hot egg or sausage McMuffin.
It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's, taking breakfast by the hand.
In honor of Lady Liberty's centennial celebration, 4 young immigrants arrive in the new Promised Land. Jake, the songwriter, Georgie, the dreamer, Marco, the gigolo, Bridget, the fugitive, each swept into an intriguing world of glamorous women and powerful men. Sunday, June 29th, Ellis Island.
As we grow older, many of us will find ourselves without partners. this is especially true for women. There are 16 million women in this country over the age of 65. More than half are widowed. Nobody knows that better than Dot Lady Ansky, a retired shoe sales clerk from Philadelphia. Widowed for 2 years, Dot was unhappy fixing meals for herself, bored with many of her friends, and quite simply, tired of sleeping alone.
I was downstairs making the chicken soup, and I knew he was dying. And I thought, what do you do when you lose your mate at this age? You think, well, romance is over. You never think about going to fall in love with anybody else at my age. I thought, here I am, 68 years old. What am I going to do?
Her widowed friends complained about the loneliness and the long nights at home, but Dot took the initiative. She went out to dinners and dances and dated as often as she could, but with little success. Then, on a bus trip to Florida with other retirees, her luck changed.
Oh, look at him coming in. That's a slow number, that's right.
His name is Walter Unger, a 78-year-old retired machinist from Philadelphia who was widowed after 42 years of marriage.
Are you going to drag me out on the floor again? How do I do that?
Do it. You're perfect.
Huh?
You're perfect.
Oh, come on now. You know doggone well there's 2 left feet and...
Why dance?
Forget the dancing.
His wife had been dead for 9 years, and my husband had been dead for 2 years.
Exactly.
But I just knew that I had to have him. Some widows that go through that one experience of losing one husband, it's a terrifying experience. They don't want to face it again. So they avoid any men. And they'll sacrifice their sexual desires rather than go through that terrible experience.
You don't know how much you're missing until you find someone you can really share all your pleasures with. And I mean all your pleasures. We don't have to
everybody around.
We don't have to account to anyone for whatever we do.
Their home away from home in Florida is a trailer park for retirees operated by the United Auto Workers, Walter's Union.
I never had a man before my husband. I never knew another man. I married him when I was 29 and I was a virgin at 29. We went together for 8 years, but in my day, you just didn't do the things that they do today. And we married, and I was a virgin, and he was sick off and on. He had a very bad heart all his life, and there were times when it was pretty rough on the both of us, but we weathered it through. And with Walter, there was no waiting. There was no time for the mating game. We had no time to play around. We're too old to play with that stuff. I knew that if we'd have to get together, and we'd have to do it right away. And we couldn't lose any time.
I felt it wasn't for me to push it, to ask her or to make any suggestion, because that's the way I'm, slow, you know.
We sat and talked, and we knew what was going to come about. And he said, I'm not going to rush you. I want you to decide when you're ready for me, but I'm ready right now. I said, well, I don't think I am. Then he came back the next day. The next night he came back, and I made dinner for us. We had dinner, and we sat there and talked a while, and the more I looked at him, it's not looks. It's something deeper than looks with Walter. He's such a terrific person. You can't help but be around him, but really knowing and not loving. And I decided, well, I want him. That was my decision.
And I think Dottie, somehow, she must have had already feelings in that direction, because she gave me 2 martinis, which was rather unusual, you know. 1 martini would have sent me high, and the second one sent me over the hill.
So I made the second martini, And he told me how much he enjoyed my dinner. He thanked me, and he got up and kissed me. And I took him by the hand, and I led him up to my bedroom.
Unbelievable thing happened. We just stripped ourselves without saying a word, without asking, without questions, and that was it.
Well, when we awoke in the morning, the both of us looked, and we said it looked like a television scene from a soap opera. Everything was thrown skittered and all over the floor. But we knew then that we really wanted each other.
The wind will take care of that.
You know, you kids wouldn't understand it.
You told me you're
not never being like we
you're
were.
Not ready yet.
Having it for 39
you're
years.
You're not ready yet, are you?
And suddenly nothing. Having it as long as he did. And 10 years of nothing. Taking a walk at night when you have a yen or a desire. No woman there.
No way.
Walking around the block. Walking it off. Laying in bed alone. Thinking about it. I don't care what you say. You think about it. And I said when he died, that was the thing I missed more than anything else, was the touching. There's nobody else in the world that's going to be like that to you. Your son's going to hug you, love your mom. Your daughter-in-law is going to love your mom. But it's not the same.
No way. There's no...
There's no way you can replace that little personal touch.
Walter and Dot belong to an age group that has grown twice as fast as the rest of the population over the last 2 decades. By early in the 21st century, there will be an additional 10 million people in this country over the age of 65. As for Walter and Dot, they'll celebrate their 2nd anniversary this year.
That's it for West 57th tonight. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next week.
Stay with us for Eyewitness News. The Methodists have apparently decided to reconsider dropping Onward Christian Soldiers from their hymnal. We'll have that story. DUI roadblocks are back in effect in Nashville. And you'll meet a man who's been cussed at, shot at, and sent nasty mail for writing what he thinks. This and more, up next on the award-winning Eyewitness News.